Welcome to the Food Startups Podcast, connecting the opaque world of food startups.
Hello, and welcome to episode number 47. Today, I've been reflecting a lot on the interview that you guys are about to listen. It's one of those ideas where you go, why didn't I think of that? That's the first thing that came to mind because it's a online web app and also iPhone app where you have instant video chat with chefs. I tried it out the other day, and what comes to mind, where could this be really helpful? Well, one is, the last minute improv, you're cooking a meal and something's going wrong, or you realize that you have 2 or 3 ingredients missing that were on the recipe that you had. So I think that's really valuable, just instantly to have a chef that can say, okay, calm down, add some rosemary, et cetera, and things will work out. The other thing is, what if you're not just planning to cook for your family, but you want to have a dinner party and you want to have a couple tips to make sure that it turns out even a little bit better? Those are just a couple ideas that come to mind. And even cooler than that with TalkToChef, it's like Uber and Airbnb, 2 things that I've used quite extensively, where you're connecting people that wouldn't otherwise have contact with each other. This is people that cook in their home and chefs. I would never think of calling a chef and asking them for a last minute tip, right? It wouldn't make sense to call a restaurant, to call someone in their kitchen and say, hey, how do I finish cooking this chicken dish or whatever it is? It's a startup that I'm going to follow and I'm pretty excited about. I think there's a lot to learn in this interview, and you can find out their story, how they got started, and they made a lot of modifications on the way to get to where they are today. And they still have a long ways to go. So I'm going to bring in Daniil now, and you guys are going to have tons and tons of learning, and I really hope you enjoy this episode. And I want to mention, for those of you that listen to the show and would like to try TalkToChef for yourself, if you want a free $5 credit, you can use the promo code FOODSTARTUPS, which is plural, Food Startups Chef. Today, I have Daniil Bradovic from TalkToChef, which is a new app that Daniil is going to tell us about. Now, Daniil, TalkToChef, in a few sentences, tell us what it is.
TalkToChef is a micro-consulting platform where you can get all your culinary questions answered by a variety of professional chefs in real time and just when you need it. It happens very easy, just like calling via Skype, so it's via video chat. And it is currently free, but tip is highly appreciated and recommended. So for just few bucks, you can find out what's happening with your dish which you're cooking right now, or what ingredients you'd like to substitute. You have a big party coming up, you want to do some professional consultations. It's all available just right there.
Great. And listeners, I just want to let you know, I tried this last night. So I was cooking quinoa. I cook quinoa a lot, but I wouldn't say it's that tasty when I cook it. So I logged on to TalkToChef, and I think I searched for gluten-free. I searched for a chef that had experience with health foods. I clicked a button, and it was I think her name was Tina, and we connected in like 5 seconds, just like a FaceTime call. And I said, hey, what type of spices and oils can I add to make my quinoa more tasty? It was great, and I made the donations. So I got to try it, and I really liked it, and it's a really, really clean interface. That was my free plug for TalkToChef because I just wanted the listeners to know that I had a great experience. And Daniil, can you tell us, how did this go from concept to launch? Give us the timeline, how you raised capital and everything. Tell us the story.
Initially, we started working in this field in September 2012, right after we graduated from business school. That's where our team met in San Francisco. We went to Startup Weekend with just crazy idea to connect home cooks, foodies, and build a community around that. And with some new technologies like video chat implemented there. And I thought that it's just totally crazy. And, I was expecting for judges to say, that's nonsense, go get a job. But my surprise, we eventually were announced winners. So there have been like the smartest guys from all over the Bay Area Startup Weekend competition, like from Berkeley, Stanford, people working in the Google, and so forth. And we happened to be among the best. And since then, we just, oh, wow. Well, if people say it's amazing, if people say it's good, maybe we should really try to make it happen. My co-founder, he had a job offer in Singapore for it's like 6-figure salary. I had a job offer in Boston. And then we decided to give it a thought to take it or not. And eventually we decided to give it a try. So we got a team up to 4 people within like 2 weeks. And then we've been working on the first concept till August 2013. And then we realized that it's just not going to happen. The product was called CookStream. And about that time, we were like, okay, I mean, what should we do now? What people like the most from our product, from our concept? And we found out that actually speaking with a chef and getting the support right when they need it, that's what corresponded with the audience the most.
Why do you think CookStream wasn't going to work?
We ran a set of experiments. We did benchmarks. So at that time, we interviewed about 150 people in person on the streets, the grocery stores, parks, everywhere we could find them. Set of questions, like trying to understand actually what people are looking for. And at the same time, we ran a survey of 2,000 people online, nationwide in the US. And that gave us some kind of enough understanding like how big this idea could be and how it's going to scale or not. And I don't know if you heard of Steve Blank and Lean Startup. So after we won Startup Weekend, we got a free ticket to Startup Next. That's pre-accelerator program by Google Ventures. And Steve Blank was teaching there. He's the father of modern customer discovery to actually find out what people really want before you build it. And the data was just not very optimistic. And we knew that even if you're going to push more time, effort, money into this thing, it's just going to take too long to become something significant.
So, and if I understand this, so basically TalkToChef was just one of the many features of CookStream, and you guys figured out that TalkToChef, the kind of video FaceTime calls with chefs for foodies, was what you wanted to make into the full business.
Yeah, absolutely. So we pretty much had to kill most of other features. And one of the reasons why you have to prioritize one or another thing first is because you have, as a startup, you have limited resources. And the second thing, customers, they usually can remember only one thing about your company. And when you have too much offering at once, they just get lost and confused, and they're not sure exactly what you are and what you want to be known for. And we realized that actually communicating with a chef, like the world's first chef 911, that's something what corresponds with the people a lot. And that looks like that's what people have been waiting for quite a long time.
That's cool. And we were just talking before the call how Twitter was originally a podcasting company, and what we now know as Twitter was just a small part of what they were doing. Very, very cool. Now, Daniil, can you tell me about the team? Where are you guys from, and how did you guys get advisors?
We all originally were born in Russia, in different places. Like I was born in St. Petersburg. My co-founder was born in Anapa. It's next to Ukraine, and we both have Ukrainian surnames. And and some of our relevance in Ukraine, like before, it used to be one country, so there was no borders. And I had like a few other co-founders before, which were we've been from different cities around Russia, but we met in San Francisco in business school. Health International Business School, where pretty much met for the first time. We studied together, got our business degree, and right like before graduation, we just started sharing what we're actually dreaming for, and find out that we actually all very passionate about starting something useful in IT space and make it big. And we found out that the foods, I shared the food idea which I had, and I got support from my co-founder, Vladimir Vityuk, who is the core of the development team at this point. And together we went to check out if this idea worked in the Startup Weekend competition.
Great. And guys, Russians are known for being strong programmers. And to be fair, they're also known for being really good hackers. But I'm just joking. But the website is phenomenal. You can tell there's really clean UI, UX, and front end and back end design. So I encourage you guys to check out TalkToChef.com. Now, Daniil, tell us a little bit. You said you guys had raised some capital. Where did you raise this capital from? And you also wanted to raise more. Can you tell us about that process and where you want to go with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So from the very beginning, we want to build an international company with the headquarters in USA. So we've been focusing on getting American capital the most, rather than Russian or elsewhere. So our first investor we met on the startup weekend competition, and he was our advisor for a while before he wrote us the first check of $10,000. In about half a year, when we kind of realized that we need some more funding than that to keep going, I was fortunate to get another $20,000 from Latvia. That's been mostly from my background experience working in Russia, because I had another company before, which I had successful exit before coming to US. Then, after we graduated from one of the accelerators in the Valley, we raised our next $110,000 round.
And Daniil, one question, because it seems like the startup weekend was pivotal for you guys. Is startup weekend, just for, so our listeners understand, that is where they kind of lock you in a room and you stay up for 48 hours and you have to come up with a business idea?
Yeah, most of the people in startup we can come with business ideas. In a startup world, your first idea usually is kind of not good, and if you're not changing your idea while you're working on it, then you're likely to fail and very bad. So people come to startup weekend with their ideas. Some have friends coming up with them, and some come just solo, and they pitch to the audience. So we had like about 100 pitches throughout the first evening when you come to startup weekend. Then you get the team and people vote for you. So out of 100, there are only like about 15 left. And these 15 teams are now preparing for the final pitch date, where the winner is going to be announced. And during that time, you need to prove that what you're building is actually useful, like people need it. So you usually go out, speak with people, or trying to get some data and some any market evidence that it's worth your time and effort. And second thing is you need to build a prototype. So within like 2 days or so, we had our first prototype. So we actually, on the pitch day, we connected a chef to the 200 people audience when we were competing. So I guess that was the crucial reason why we actually won it.
Great. Okay. Now I want to move on. And again, this is my own take. It reminds me, your company, your startup, TalkToChef, reminds me a lot of Uber and Airbnb in the sense that it connects two different groups that wouldn't otherwise have access to each other. Right now, I can't call a chef and just say, hey, do I need to add more salt to the soup I'm cooking or whatever it is, right? And, just like Uber connecting drivers and Airbnb, people with homes that they would like to, or bedrooms they would like to rent, I'm looking on your profile, right, and thinking about this process. These types of companies, I know Airbnb, they struggled for a while until they figured out that New York was the place to go because all the users were in New York. So they went door to door in New York and really built things up there. And it's all part of growth. And I see on your website, you list yourself as a growth hacker. Now, I know Ryan Holiday wrote the book on growth hacker marketing. And to me, it has to do with the new ways of building a business without doing conventional and traditional marketing and PR, right? Like commercials and billboards and stuff. But I want to hear it from you because I would say without a doubt, for you guys to have success, you guys need to do some growth hacking, right? It seems fundamental. So can you describe what growth hacking means to you, since it's a very new term, and then tell us some of the types of strategies you're going to use to build and grow the user base?
Yeah, thank you for great question. There have been like a few things I'll just go through outside of growth hacking. It's nice that you mentioned Uber and Lyft and Airbnb. So, by the way, we usually position ourselves as Skype meets Uber for culinary advice. So it's great reference. Thank you. And second thing, the Airbnb, like the core or the turn point for them was when they find out that in order to sell apartments, they need to have great pictures of homes people are offering to stay. So they actually had photographers going through people's houses and make professional pictures. And that's when it's actually starting to pick up.
Oh yeah, and just just a note, Daniil, I used to rent in Bogota. I used to rent Airbnb, and I used that service. And I took my own crappy photos, and then for free, I got a professional photographer to come and take photos of my place.
Yeah, and that so I believe that that's actually great marketing or even growth hack techniques which they found out, and that's actually what built their business. And so talking about myself, how I can see it and what it is. So I believe that growth hacking is two-sided coin, and you can take it from two perspectives. One is from very technical perspective, that you're solely a developer and what you use is the data to understand what people like, what people not, finding and making their experience the best possible experience, and finding some tricks which can be used. For example, Airbnb trick was that they've been putting their postings on Craigslist to drive their customers to their website. Yeah, and then Craigslist found this issue and they closed, right, this traffic. So now you cannot use this trick anymore. But with the new technologies, new opportunities, there's some tricks that are happening, and you can be from very technical side to find them and find the holes in technology and to kind of drive your customers. Like there's like some very common ones, like there are Twitter bots and etc., which follow people and do that's like more from technical side. And there is another one from more business side, growth hacking, where you go and trying to go to the social part of the business. So you use metrics all the time, like what works, what doesn't work. So traditional marketing, you just do things and you never know when is return going to happen. In the IT world, in online marketing world, that you actually should know how much it costs you to bring one customer to your website and what this customer is doing and what you could do that actually increase return on your investment of time and money. In this sense, you don't really need sometimes, I mean, you're still looking at this technical stuff, but you don't need coding experience, and you don't do programming some robots or bots to kind of follow people around. You just do really great conversational funnel and make sure that you can understand anytime, like how much did it cost you to bring customer from Facebook or Google Ads or some other ways, or what incentivize people to share and how to build this thing. So regarding what we are doing to build our business, there are few things. So it's a mixture of some technical and non-technical growth hacking tricks, I would say, or techniques. So one of them is that we have not only a mobile app and website, we also have the widget which can be installed on any recipe website or chef profile, and they start supporting users right there. And we don't steal their users. We share like donations, the tips which users give us, the website owners, and at the same time, they provide additional value to their customers.
If I'm a chef and I have a blog, because there's tons of foodies and chefs that have their own personal websites, they can say, get some advice from me, right? Add the widget to their website, and you can right through their website, you can click through and get some one-on-one advice, correct?
Absolutely. So we're making it possible for a chef, for example, put on his website, and when people are going to call that chef, he can actually answer the phone without sharing his personal information, like a mobile phone. If he's busy, he can allow other chefs to help that person if he'd like. If he doesn't want to share this customer with anyone, he just say, okay, I'll call you back pretty much when I get free. We're pretty much building this culinary support system, which works for any culinary professionals.
And how do you convince chefs to sign on? How do you find chefs?
So, I mean, there's been a lot of work done in building chef communities. So, I mean, the Cookstream we've been focusing a lot of saved content. Like with Cookstream, we've been doing videos of chefs, we're finding the best chefs in restaurants. It took us like maybe half a year to put our kind of first step in the chef community to kind of recognize that we're serious and we're going to make something amazing that they would love and customers would love it at the same time. So it did give us like first few hundred of chefs. And then when this happened, we just started getting some referrals. And that there have been a lot of hands work, like, I mean, going through chefs' profiles anywhere where we could find, and if we find this chef a great match, we would invite him to join. So there have been a lot of manual labor involved, I would say. And I mean, there have been a few things, let's say, running ads on Facebook, targeting chefs people who go too much or criteria to join the system. But it's been mostly done manually by building relationships. And that's what allowed us right now to build our TalkToChef think tank group, where we have chef ambassadors. Like, that's hidden, but that's a community group, and they now represent the company and they own it. So we have recently Chef Trent being on TV channels in Utah, talks around it. We have other chefs on radio podcasts around the city. We have a chef in Canada who is mentioning TalkToChef and Cooking Network, because we want chefs to be a part of the community, and we pretty much treat chefs as a founding team. We're still thinking how we can compensate for their time and effort, because right now they're doing it for totally free. And I like, one of the ideas that we are likely to just spread an equity or something like that within our chef supporters, because we are so grateful for that.
So the cool thing about this is, you talked about being in the U.S., but I did this from Colombia last night. The foodies, who are the people who are buying the advice, and the chefs can be anywhere in the world. Is that, or do you allow chefs from anywhere in the world, or only certain countries?
Absolutely. The whole idea that if you have a good internet connection, that's the only thing what's needed. You can speak with a chef from any part of the world. You can either just say the cuisine method and diet you'd like to consult about, and you'll find you the best match, or you can actually go through chef profiles and find a chef you're for example, if you want to speak with a chef particularly from Colombia, or maybe like you would like to speak with a British chef or like Italian chef from Italy, right? You can also do that.
Great. Now, Daniil, to finish up here, you told me that, I hope I can share this, that you guys got accepted to Startup Chile, so you're going to be moving some of the team down there. We're in April 2015. Where do you want to be in 2 years? What's the dream? What's the best case scenario?
Yeah, that's a great question. You think 2 years we want to become default tool for any sort of culinary questions, and pretty much become the default solution. So we see that our TalkToChef widget being on almost every culinary website, and having our chefs available to support these people anytime. So anytime when foodie, home cook, or even other chef who just starting his restaurant or business wants an advice from an expert, it's available within a minute of time. So we want to get the community at least of 20,000 expert chefs within that time, and have at least 100,000 calls per month at this point. With the current demand and how often people cook and the popularity of cooking shows, only in the US alone, it's only 105 million people watching it on a regular basis. We've seen that the demand for actual advice, when people get inspired to cook something and that doesn't work well, it can go potentially in more than that.
Wow. Well, Daniil, listen, I am really excited about your company. I'm rooting for you guys, and it looks like the sky's the limit. Like, you have a huge market. It's new. It's innovative. You talk about growth hacking. I'm thinking Twitter and Facebook. People like to share that they had a phone call with a chef. Like, it's pretty cool to say that. So it seems like that's like a lot of inexpensive or free publicity for you. So I wanted to thank you so much for coming on to the show, and I hope to have you back in the future.
Thank you very much, Matt. It was a great pleasure to speak with you, and we'll be happy to update you later on, so feel free to call me anytime.
Hey guys, thanks so much for listening, and as always, if you have any questions or comments, find us online at foodstartupspodcast.com.